Welcome to Cut to the Chase, where we talk about compelling legal, regulatory, and public interest information and news. Your host is Gregg Goldfarb, an attorney, entrepreneur, investor, and activist.
All right, folks, it's time for our favorite podcast, Cut to the Chase. I'm here with Ann Claiborne, and we're going to get you as healthy, fit as you can be. All right? How are you doing today, Ann?
I'm wonderful. Thank you.
All right. So listen, I grew up in a very healthy atmosphere. My father and mother, there was no Count Dracula, couldn't put salt or sugar on the food. We were doing wheat germ before there was even granola. And
we were granola before there was ever granola.
Oh my, and I'm not really sure granola is healthy, but here's my opportunity to dispel my own concerns or what have you. Ann works with athletes and lawyers and law firms to help them be the best that they can possibly be. And you don't want your lawyers bouncing off the wall with all this sugar high and white bread and all this nonsense. So Ann with Firmwell, customized concierge nutrition, we're going to focus on lawyers and law firms. What do you do? What is the problem and how can you help?
So I started out working with professional athletes. So I worked predominantly in the beginning with Olympic athletes and NFL players. And one of my retired NFL players that's now a trial attorney had me start working with him. And I noticed the similarities, right? It is the win at all cost, light switch people. When it's time to go, it's time to go. They need tons of energy. And what I noticed was with the super long hours that attorneys work, especially like if they're in trial prep or depositions or whatever, they need sustained energy. And so when we start fueling them properly, right, they can stay focused for longer. They're healthier. They don't have to do as many energy drinks up and down, highs and lows. So they're just nice, sustained energy. They feel better. They look better. They're more confident in the courtroom. And so what we do is design a nutrition plan for them that's based off of science. I started out as an Army nurse, actually. So I'm raised by a dietitian. Nutrition has just always been a part of who I am. And so we really take a medical approach. We start everyone out with some pretty comprehensive blood work. We're looking at DEXA scan results, cold hard numbers. Then we have a team of dietitians. We build out a plan that actually fits into their lifestyle. So especially if we have someone that's traveling a lot, we're staying one step ahead of the clients to meet their nutritional needs. And really what we do is we try and remove as many obstacles as possible and have everything there for our clientele so that you can focus on what it is that you do best, which is go win cases.
Nice. All right. So in terms of who you connect with in the law space, do you basically, get in touch, connect with the head of the law firm, go through the plan and then sort of force feed everybody underneath? Or are you one-on-one, hey, who wants help and who doesn't?
Yeah. So customized concierge nutrition is really, it's our company that deals one-on-one. So how this started was I was working with individual attorneys, and then I just started to notice, as did they, there's a huge gap in the market for real, health and wellness, especially with an emphasis on nutrition. So we work with people one-on-one. And then typically what's happened is, an attorney sees how much better it's improving his life. He's sleeping better. He has more energy, can think more clearly. And he needs for his staff to be the same way, his or her staff to be the exact same way. And so then they asked me to come in and kind of do it for the whole staff. So for everyone that I work with right now, we do these master classes where I come in and basically just start explaining from the very beginning, hey, this is what we do and this is how it can help you. And then everything after that is pretty customized. Each individual employee can kind of take in, what they need from it. Some people need a little bit more of the mental health piece. It's a very high stress job. Some people really want to focus on the nutrition piece or the training piece. So it is a little bit more customized for each individual person. Unless the firm says we only want you to come in and talk about nutrition or, but what we have found is that when we start to educate people on nutrition and start to guide them, they almost immediately start to feel better.
All right. So, and I do this all with all my guests. I'm always the devil's advocate and always trying to push, push through to see really, does it work? And, somebody has suffered, from sleep issues, and I eat pretty well. Convince me that you can help me through diet to sleep better.
So a lot of what this boils down to is like gut health, right? And so when we start to focus on everyone's gut health initially, meaning like we start to repair some of the gut health issues, it reduces the inflammation in their body. And I can show you with blood work, we can test your inflammation, and then we can, get you on a proper plan. You'll start to see the inflammation markers decrease. And by doing that, your body's not just like in a state of repair at all times. You're going to rest better. We also do a lot with, helping people deal with some of the stress that comes along with that, with a job. But the marked improvement is seen, like we can show statistically. We do have several of our clients that wear a Whoop. I don't know if you're familiar with a Whoop. It's a wearable device, very similar to like an Apple Watch. It doesn't have a face on it, but it monitors everything. It tells us their recovery, how many calories they're burning, how long they're sleeping, how effectively they're sleeping, how many minutes in REM sleep. So we can chart, are we making improvements or not? And then inevitably the blood work always comes back better and people are just resting better.
Okay. And so it's not like you're just devising programs to help people lose weight. You're devising programs dietetically to help them perform better. Or is
Yeah,
it both?
I say we're healthy from the inside out, right? I want to get you healthy. I want your blood work improved. I want your stress. I want your cortisol to decrease. The byproduct of that is that you just happen to look better, right? Yeah. That is an extremely important component, especially for attorneys when they feel the most confident, then they can go be lions in the courtroom.
So the course of my life, diet fads have always been, the South Beach diet, Pritikin. I mean, I remember when there was Pritikin and all that. Do you subscribe to a particular formula, so to speak? Like, let's say you're dealing with somebody who's overweight and obviously they need to lose weight. You will address that with your customization, I would imagine.
Absolutely. So the first thing we do is we look at the blood work and we're looking for any deficiencies, right? Are there any vitamin deficiencies? Do we have any food allergies? Things like that. And then we're formulating a plan that fits their macronutrient requirements for their goal. So if we need to lose a little bit of weight, we adjust the macros accordingly. And then also really just feeding them clean, healthy food usually is half the battle, having it ready. So once we create the plan, then we hire a chef or a meal prep company to prepare their food to our specifications. And then it's put in the fridge, right? So then all they have to do is, have their secretary bring them their meal or go to the fridge and pull it out and eat. We've taken out all the guesswork, right? And so, yes, because we need to get the body fat percentage down because we want you to be healthy. We're looking at making healthy lifestyle choices long term.
All right. So, when you say you got a chef, they're preparing meals, it sounds like the meals are going to the law firm's office.
Yeah.
You're opening the refrigerator. So that sounds like one meal, or is it is the customization plan something that's 24/7, 7 days a week, breakfast, lunch, dinner, or is it just the time that you're in the law firm, the office?
Yeah. So best case scenario is when I'm working with someone individual, like if you hired me as an attorney to your stuff, I'm going to make sure that every meal is covered, to include dining out. Let's say you have to entertain a client. You say, hey, Ann, I've got to go to Morton's tonight to entertain a client. Great. I'm going to look up the local menu wherever you are, check out the specials. I'm going to text you back and tell you exactly what to order and how to order it.
Yeah.
We go in with a game plan. As far as the firms, typically what firms are doing right now is providing lunch lunch at the office. Now, if they're working super long hours, they'll come to me and say, hey, we need for you to provide 2 meals. Because
Yeah.
typically people are eating breakfast at home or in the car. And we give them guidance on what we want them to eat outside of the office. Firms are not always providing food. Sometimes we're just providing guidance, and they can meal prep at home and bring it in. It just depends on what each individual firm wants.
All right. And talk to me about the wellness. What types of issues do you feel like you are most successful dealing with, and those that you're not?
You mean just like individuals as a whole? I would
Yeah.
say I am really great at helping people get out of their own way. I'm super great at listening to people, hearing what obstacles they have, helping them identify which are, real obstacles, and excuse my French, but what are bullshit obstacles that we have put in our own way,
Yeah.
right? We figure out a plan around each of those. Um, the areas that I think that we all need a little bit, that we can all improve upon, is the mental health issue, right? So we bring in specialists to help, but the legal field is so specific. We have learned in the last 6 months, we really have to have someone that deals specifically with attorneys, especially trial attorneys. Like it's a lot, and it's different from other industries that we've worked with.
All right. One of my last programs, I had a coach on who coaches lawyers, and he was talking about, some of the personality traits of lawyers, typical personality traits that get in their way in terms of them being able to perform their greatest or to their best. And, arrogance, anger, not being able to listen, or some of the types of things. What do you see as, in your, when you say, you're putting roadblocks in front of you, or they are in front of you, and you can't either get around or get through them? What are you seeing as, is there stereotypical issues that lawyers deal with, or is it
Yeah,
just human
absolutely.
nature?
Yeah, absolutely. Time. Nobody has the time, right? But that's why we have to schedule our workouts. You have to schedule your meals. I tell my people, I want you to schedule your workout or your meal, whichever is most important, right? Just like you would any other meeting. You have to prioritize your health. We all know if you fill your cup first, then you can be better for everyone else. But when it just starts piling on, you really have to make sure that you're sticking to your habits, because discipline is not the answer. I'm sorry, motivation is not the answer. Discipline is, right?
Yeah.
Just discipline is the determining factor on who's going to be successful long term and who's not. And so we help you create systems that work within your life, and everyone's system isn't the same. So we have to figure out where your obstacles lie and how we can help you. And some of it is just, either our relationship with food, and I'm in the South, being raised in the South by a Catholic Italian mother. Everything, we had a dish for everything, and everything revolved around guilt, right? And you needed to clean your plate and all that stuff. So we just help you reestablish your relationship with food and create a healthy relationship with food as it relates to time. By having the meals ready there for you, that's a big piece of the puzzle there. And there's no guesswork.
Yeah.
One of the biggest things that I've heard is that, attorneys love when they are in trial prep, when we come in, because they'll be working long hours, and then, the attorney gets up to go to, his associate's desk, and they're gone in that pivotal moment when he needs that question answered so that he can continue to work, and they've left the office to go grab food.
Yeah.
Right. And so by having everything there, by having these resources, like where they can go on the portal and speak to the mental health, or schedule their yoga stretching, or their personal training, or their guided meditation, because everyone needs to take a break, but we can minimize how they're affected. We can minimize how long they're gone from their desk, but also the effectiveness of it, so that we can get it in that moment. So they can just jump on the portal, and maybe they just need to go for a brief walk, do some mental, some yoga stretching, things like that, so they can get back up and running quickly.
All right. So for the lawyers out there that are saying to themselves, I don't know, I can't do it because, or I don't think it's going to work because, or I know it's not going to work. What are the typical obstacles that lawyers present to you that you're able to overcome? In other words, like who are your best targets out there that you can succeed with? And then go to the opposite end, and who are the most challenging that you still think you can succeed with your programs?
So I've noticed that, quite a few attorneys used to be athletes at some point. And when I can get them to flip that switch on again, that athlete mentality, those guys and girls tend to be, men and women tend to be my most successful because they, what I'm saying, they understand that it's an important component. And so they definitely tend to buy in quicker because it's like they know better. They're just struggling to figure out how to fit it all in because there's just so much on their plate, right? So we just help them figure out the system that works for them. My most challenging are people that have never really been exposed to nutrition and working out, and they're later in life, and we're asking them to change everything about themselves. That is the biggest challenge. And so for those people, we really start extremely slow.
Yeah.
Slow and steady wins the race. And I'm really big on adding to instead of taking away, meaning instead of saying, hey, I don't want you to eat any of that stuff. The only thing I want you to do this week is add in a salad, right?
Yeah.
You can have the pizza, but I want you to have the salad first. We just take small steps, right? And we're talking to them about hydration and, small things that once they feel like they can win, you know?
So, I did many trials, and I'm not doing them that much now, but I remember that number one, the one thing that would always sort of get infused in me was, I wouldn't say anxiety, but just, being on and I never had an appetite. So I would do a trial, the whole day I wouldn't eat anything.
Yeah.
And I just never thought that that was really much of an issue. Do you come across that kind of, because I mean, let's just face it, you're going to trial, you're waking up and it's like a million things are going, you don't like food. What are you kidding me? Like, give me some water, I'm out. Cup of coffee, I'm out. Is that an issue that you see with trial lawyers, that they're fooling themselves?
Yeah, so absolutely, especially when you can't bring food into the courtroom, things like that. So we do very easy things, protein shakes, protein bars, jerky, something they can keep in their desk, grab and go, keep in their briefcase. The goal is to get their body as healthy as possible prior to trial.
Yeah.
Because you're going to hit fight or flight. Your body is going to be releasing large amounts of cortisol, creating inflammation, doing damage. So we need to have you at your healthiest so that you're fit to fight. And those days are long, and we get that. So we try to keep foods have to be, grab and go. Most attorneys don't have time to sit down with a fork and knife and eat lunch. Like, we try and do wraps and things that they can just grab and eat very quickly. We also provide everyone with what we like to call our CEO go bag. And it's just, some of the attorneys call it their oh shit bag, like, oh shit, I forgot my meal, or I'm stuck in a meeting, or I've got this next Zoom, or, and it just has non-perishable healthy snacks like the jerky, the protein bar. It also has, like the Aleve in there for the headache, and, the hydration packets and the energy packets of vitamin C and things like that. So it's just important for us to be prepared. We teach them how to be prepared.
Nice. All right. Two last things. And I
Okay.
know you're probably wondering at what point I'm going to ask you this, but I have to ask you this because I've had a number of guests come on my show talking about Ozempic. The
No, oh
problems
yeah.
with Ozempic, I've had a nurse who's, has had people come in with Ozempic related issues or what have you. But I would imagine a lot of people that are overweight are like, give me that Ozempic, I'm ready to go. Is that on your platform, so to speak?
So if a client is already on it, our main goal is to get them to eat because they're not eating enough. It's
Yeah.
causing muscle wasting, stomach issues. So when it's taken correctly in the correct dosage and we're monitoring their nutrition, they're good. I don't actually encourage anyone to take it unless they have an extreme amount of weight to lose, for weight loss. Obviously, we're not talking about diabetes, but if they have an extreme amount of weight to lose and they just need a kickstart, I think that it can be useful in those moments in the beginning, right? But you have to have a cutoff date because it is very easy. It's very easy to take that, lose weight. It's kind of like built-in self-control. So if we're not monitoring them closely so that they're eating and we're talking about how to have that discipline around food, they can just become addicted to it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, to me, it just sounds too good to be true. And
yeah, you have to know all that stuff, easy come, easy go, right?
Yeah.
So the minute you quit taking it, if you don't have the good nutrition habits, the weight's going to come right back. What damage have you done in the interim? How long have you been on it? So I always say, if we keep stuff as close to nature made it as possible, our body knows what to do with it. So, if we can get away with not doing it, that would be my choice.
All right. Now I did say 2 questions, but because you raised the diabetes issue, and Ozempic is actually used, I mean, that was the main use, was for diabetes. I'm going to add another question.
Okay, go for it.
So tell me what your take is. Obesity is a huge problem in the United States and the world. It's not going away despite all these fad diets and awareness of the issues. It seems like with all this awareness, you would have seen less obesity. But when you go to Disney World, obviously that's not the case. And so where do you stand on what's your belief in terms of diabetes, pre-diabetes, and the use of diet to actually resolve those issues? What have you seen?
I think that our food industry is really broken in America. And I think that is a huge component we need to fix. So can most diseases be controlled with food? Yes. Yes, they can. And so I think that it's extremely important that we're looking at the quality of food that we're eating, the quantity, the timing. And I definitely don't make any medical claims. But I think that if we start with nutrition, that's a significant piece of the puzzle. You really do need to be eating the highest quality foods in the correct amount at the correct time when you have, medical issues.
All right, gotcha. All right, last question. I have heard rumors that you have some speaking engagements coming up, and I wanted to know where we could, are you speaking? Where are you speaking? Just in case somebody's actually going to go to one of these events and they can actually meet you and listen to you to give one of your presentations.
I actually don't have anything solidified yet, so I would hate to say. I do have law firms that hire me to come in to do. We do a lot of retreats, like law firm retreats.
Okay.
Master classes and things of that nature. So until those other contracts are signed, I would hate to even say, because we just started that process. But you can also find me on Instagram, my YouTube channel. I'm starting to do a lot of webinars. I love to share the information. I love teaching and educating people. So we can link my YouTube channel and stuff where they can see more of me. That would be wonderful.
Okay, so tell me what is your YouTube channel? Where do I find your webinars?
The YouTube channel is Ann Claiborne, and we can link it here. And then my Instagram is at Ann Claiborne. I think all my handles are at Ann Claiborne, CLAIBORNE.
All right, nice. And will you be at the last question? Will you be at Mass Sorts Made Perfect?
Will I be where?
Mass Sorts Made Perfect.
You know what? I'm not sure yet. I sure hope so.
Okay, all right. That's right around the corner. So let's make that happen if you can.
Okay, I can. I have one more thing I'd really love to put out. I encourage everyone to get blood work. Go get your blood work done. Look at your hormone levels. especially when you're in a high stress position. Stress can really throw our hormone levels off and just wreak havoc in the body. So if I had one takeaway, I would say I would love for everyone to go get their blood work done at least within the last 6 months.
Gotcha. All right. And I do that. And I'm a firm believer in getting your blood work. But all right, that'll do it for this episode. And thank you very much for coming on. All your information will be in the show notes. Hope to see you in Vegas at Mass Sorts Made Perfect. And again, thank you for coming on and sharing this information.
Thank you.
All right, folks, that'll do it for this episode of Cut to the Chase. Go check Ann Claiborne stuff out. As my father would say, you are what you eat. Okay? You are what you eat. And it might have been the wisest thing my father ever said to me. So, Ann, go get him, all right? We'll talk soon.
Thank you.
Okay.
That's all for this episode of Cut to the Chase. But before you go, will you open up your podcast app and give us a 5-star review? You can also leave a comment about what you liked most or other topics you'd like us to cover. And please be sure to subscribe so you don't miss any upcoming shows. Thanks, everybody. Be safe out there.